How you guys doing? This is good old Grandmaster Evan, and well, here I want to find. Well, this is the anonymous Liberty Media here on YouTube, and I also want to do kind of a short Facebook Live. Go ahead and our phone here. See here. And here we go. Facebook Live. All right. Here we go. Oh man. I tell you what, I got done watching a 60-minute documentary on Michael Jackson and the Neverland Ranch, and what the maid knew. The channel title is the video title is Hollywood and DC Politics, Past, Present, and Future. What is the future for Hollywood and the future of DC politics? Now, this is more of a more of a question. Celebrities and politicians can believe in their own hype, because people they look up to them. They look up to people, whether you're a celebrity, a very wealthy, well-known politician who's has a big, huge support of people and fans. Now, I got done watching a 60-minute documentary on Neverland Ranch and Michael Jackson, and it is a very celebrities. Most celebrities do believe in their own hype, believing that they're above the law, like politicians and shit. Like career oligarch politicians. Um, Even the turn of the century in Hollywood, man, silent film era. You know, money back then was like bricks. More money made, each start to believe in your hype, believing in that you're above the law. You could be a studio executive, head of a studio, um, like Louis B. Mayer and Cecil B. DeMille. These guys were the these guys were they were the Harvey Weinstein before the Harvey Weinstein ever came into existence. These guys were had a lot of power behind them. I mean, they had money behind everything. Money to pay people off, pay people for their science and shit. I mean, like celebrities do, you know. And like in politics, man, you know, if there was a scandal that really rocked DC politics, or a scandal that really rocked Hollywood to its foundation, to its core. You know. Mark Dice did a book about. He also appeared in E's a program about uh, secret societies in Hollywood. Okay, you had the Illuminati, you had Church of Scientology, you had all kinds of people that would keep celebrities out of jail, out of prison, because money talks and bullshit does walk. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of celebrities. They believe in their own myth. They believe their own legend. They believe that they're above it all. That the world evolves around them and nobody else. They are the deity of it all because they're like Tom Cruise. He thinks he's the god of Scientology. He's the embodiment of Scientology and shit. Okay. No, Bill and Hillary. No, they've had blood on their hands for the last 40 plus years. You know, the Bill Clinton's first victim, who accused him of rape, was dead, murdered. His first victim. Where's her body at? How come he's not in jail or in prison and shit? You know, the Me Too movement really rattled cages and shit. You know, now while I was watching this program, Michael Jackson's lawyer did make a point that the Me Too movement has created some falsehoods to a big margin. There's victims, yeah, there are victims, but there's also a huge margin that um, fake victims come out accuse somebody of this of a crime of a horrible crime without actually having any proof of it. But now, for example, Harvey Weinstein. Here's proof. Okay, this guy, along with his brother, the Weinstein Company, Miramax, they own Miramax and shit, which produced some good movies and shit. Um, I mean, really good movies. Some are B movies and shit. Though. The guy was a sex fiend. His wife didn't know about it. The guy was a producer, a movie producer and shit. You know, the guy is facing years in prison for his shit. You know, ever since the Me Too movement, um, a lot of people have come forward who were victims of Weinstein's bullshit and Kevin Spacey's shit, Ben and, ben and Casey Affleck and Matt Damon, a lot of Charlie Ross, Charlie Rose was killed. A lot of guys were like they think they were untouchable. Okay, now sometimes you gotta think. Now we all know what happened to Rose McGowan. McGowan. Um, she trusted nobody now. Nobody. Um, Alyssa Milano. No, she was until her shit until she started her shit. You know, I mean, when I grew up, I had a crush on Alyssa Milano as a kid. You know, I was like, dude, wow. And she had that full frontal work. She showed her boobs and shit. I was like, dude, ah, ah. But now, mm, nah, nah. I would rather not. I would rather hit myself in the nuts with a mallet than even think of wanting to. But as a kid, hey, look, I had a crush on her as a kid. Well, But now you think about it for a moment, Hollywood is really fucked up. Politics is the world of DC politics really fucked up. You know, people are getting fucked up in both worlds, especially in the music industry. Oh yeah, the music industry really fucked up. Really fucked up. There was a little rap group called Crisscross, um, and they were featured in one of Michael Jackson's videos and stuff like that. So, and the big question is, were they ever, you know, victims of Michael Jackson? You was Macaulay Culkin? Was Corey Feldman? Shit. Um, it's a big question. I mean, you gotta understand that Michael Jackson had a lot of kids in his bed, a lot of kids, and his lawyer said that the doctor that did a documentary on Michael Jackson was in it for money, was in it for his own agenda, his own thing. Well, the thing is, when you have all that money, when you're making millions and millions and millions of dollars, you're above it all, making money with your music, with your acting, with some kind of power you have over people, because to them you're influential and shit. You're influential. You, I mean, it is once you um, realize when you realize, um, I mean, once you realize you're a celebrity in Hollywood, the music industry, politics, even the sports world, you start to gain this ego that you're above the law, thinking that you are above other people. Okay, other people. You're making tons of millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, and a lot of ego start to build, and you think you start to realize you're believing your own hype. You start to believe your own myth. You start to believe in your own legend. Okay, like a mythical figure in history and shit. Well, when you start to understand that Hollywood, DC politics, the music industry, you start to think, okay, I'm above everybody else. Everybody's beneath me. Okay, everybody's beneath me. Okay, when a crime is when you're accused of a crime, for example, uh, back in '93, Michael Jackson was accused of molesting a 12-year-old kid, and he paid the family, the kid and his family $20 million. Like, wow, that's all of a sudden he paid him off. Like, all of a sudden, like, there's accusations. Well, all of a sudden, without going to court, the kid and his family were paid $20 million. All of a sudden, $20 million. Okay, that's kind of weird, don't you think? Because back in the 80s, Michael Jackson was accused of other crime back then too. I mean, how many celebrities were also accused of this shit? You know? I mean, you gotta understand. Look at Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn, back in the day, the guy was interested in young girls. The teenage kind, before he died. The guy was interested in young teenage girls and shit. And Cecil B. DeMille, Louis B. Mayer. Cecil B. DeMille, back in the 30s, around this time, there was a documentary about a elder woman, an elderly woman that hasn't been seen in decades. Okay, and the documentary was a lost long actress. Okay, she was in her late teens when Cecil B. DeMille raped her. Okay, the guy was born in 1901 and died somewhere around the 70s or something. I think. He this elderly woman had no kids, never got married, uh, never got married, but she hid from the world. She hid from the world. Hid forever. But a filmmaker, a documentary filmmaker, found her. Wanted to hear her story. Wanted the world to hear her story. And prior to the ending of the documentary, she passed away. She passed away. And she was a victim of Hollywood's elite. Back then, Hollywood was very, as it is now, very corrupted. Uh, if you talked, if you were a victim of an attack, sexual assault, or anything like that, back then, and you wanted to talk, and you wanted to go to the police, you gotta realize back then it was a male-dominated business. Okay, Paramount, Columbia, 20th Century Fox, MGM. It was a male-dominated industry, a multi-million-dollar industry. Okay, as it's now, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And there are people from dark places. Kids know, if you're a child star like Corey Feldman or Corey Haim, you were in that crowd where older men started to grow like vultures around these kids. It wasn't just the music industry, Hollywood. It was also the music industry, and also DC politics. Okay, I hope you're kind of comprehending here. What does Hollywood, the music industry, and DC politics all have in common? Again, Hollywood, the music industry and DC politics all have in common. Pedophilia. Pedophilia. And it all revolves around that. Powerful people, wrong little kids. There was a documentary that the Discovery Channel did. It was called. It was a. It revolved around this guy, Lawrence Fishburne. Oh, Lawrence, not the actor, but this guy was a local guy in Omaha, Nebraska, and it evolves around Boys Town. Okay, Boys Town. Back in 81 or 82, Johnny Gosch was kidnapped. Johnny Gosch. I didn't remember much as a kid as I did do now. He was 12 years old. He was living in Iowa. He was delivering newspapers and shit. And he was kidnapped. And it got as bad as the local police department. The sheriff department got involved in a very dark and sinister way. Okay. Now, if you look at the documentary, what was it called? It came out in '91 and early '90s, but it was supposed to be airing that following that year. But the network was forced to pull it and destroy any copies. But one copy got out. One copy did survive. And I'm going to go ahead and see here what's it called here. Let me see here. Okay, it was called the Conspiracy of Silence. It was it had to do with the Boys Town and Omaha controversy and shit. It was banned by the it was a banned Discovery Channel documentary and shit. And it was a very controversial documentary. And it was a here. This is now this was the time when Reagan was president and Bush Sr. was vice president. And the Washington Times, the headpiece was homosexual prostitution inquiry ensnares VIPs with Reagan and Bush. This was in the early 80s and shit. And cowboys took midnight tour of White House. Okay, this was the powerful people. Okay, powerful people were involved in this one. I mean, if you were even in the music industry, if you were like young and you were idolizing your favorite singer or whatnot, actor or not, and they had a dark, sinister side of them that they didn't show until start to bubble up to the surface and shit, that's when Michael Jackson was accused back in '93, and he was accused in '93. And then all of a sudden, he ended up paying off the kid and his family $20 million, man. $20 million. Okay. Politics, the music industry, and Hollywood all around one thing, that's pedophilia. Get pedophilia and shit. And the Me Too movement has really done some damage to the elites that were part of that child trafficking shit. But to a big degree, I think that they should keep up their fight, but um, also make sure that when there are victims that come out, make sure that there's no made up story. I mean, they should have at least someone that could investigate victims that come out. Um, but DC politics in Hollywood and the music industry all around one thing, that's pedophilia. Um, both members of the rap group Criss Cross has died. Um, they were a pretty good group, young boys, about 12, 13, about 12, 13 years old, and did that long jump. They had that festival where they wore their clothes backwards. You wore a shirt backwards or your pants backwards. Like, what the hell? And it was a fest at the time where you wore your clothes backwards. Okay, all right, but weird, but okay. Um, I mean, you gotta think now. I mean, fuck. Kevin Spacey, Ben and Casey Affleck, Matt Damon, uh, Charlie Rose, Harvey Weinstein, his brother. Fuck. How? I mean, Louis C.K. He was accused. A lot of people, up there, 35 people in Hollywood. 35 people. That's a lot. That is a lot. But it turns out that Lucy K was, well, he was framed, man. He was framed away, but he fought and he's fighting back to his career back in track. And if you're and comedians now are banning anybody from taking pictures or videos of their act because Richard Kramer, what the name was, Richard something, played Cosmo Kramer. Cosmo Kramer. He said he was filmed saying the N word at least 7 to 10 times or something like that, and he got some trouble. And it is very insane because Hollywood, DC politics, and the industry is all one big scary shit, fucking A. R. Kelly. Oh man. Holy shit. R. fucking Kelly, man. That dude, he did a documentary that was on IFC, and it was a documentary where it was a story about one guy had an affair with this person, and this person had an affair with this person, and it all leads to this. Deacon had an affair with a pastor, and was it the pastor's wife had an affair with this guy played by R. Kelly, and it comes to an end where the deacon is in the hospital, and it turns out that the deacon and pastor was engaged in a gay relationship, sexual relationship, and the deacon was in a hospital, and turns out the deacon had AIDS. The pastor was also affected, and his wife was like, "What? You need to sit down." Wow, this is like if you're married, if you're a pastor's wife, and you start to learn, you learn that your husband is a pastor, and he's fucking the deacon. The deacon's in hospital, and he has AIDS and shit. This 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 program was like, dude, this is like really weird. Um, the funny part of this program was R. Kelly plays a guy, drives a Mercedes, looks like kind of like a modern day gangster, that kind of guy, you know. Comes home, something by cops. Comes home, he gets all down and all with this woman. He sees a condom wrapper, like, what the fuck? Then all of a sudden, the cop turns around, comes to the house, like, what the fuck? But this program was like really weird, but how it was put together, really brilliant. But the ending, holy shit. But the real shit is that R. Kelly had a relationship with Aaliyah when she was 15. Holy shit. But she was good in the Village of the Damned. Well, no, some of the Damned, but she was good in that scene. R. Kelly had issues dealing with young girls, teenage girls, and he somehow managed to sweep it under the rug. Nothing ever talked about it anymore. But now he got in trouble. It's starting to really creep up and bite him on the ass. He screwed himself royally. So R. Kelly is among, I mean, they're trying to put him up there with Jussie Smollett. No. R. Kelly loved young teen girls. That's his dumbass thing. He's up there with Weinstein, up there with Kevin Spacey, up there with Casey Ben Affleck, up there with, I don't know, Matt Damon probably, I don't know. But there's a lot, I mean, he fucked up. He finally got bit on the ass. This thing with the young girls finally caught up with him. He fucked up. Now he's in jail because he owes $138,000 in child support. What the fuck? Imagine that shit. But this Conspiracy of Silence came out in 1991. So it looks like this was a okay. It was Tuesday, May 3rd, On Tuesday, May 3rd, hold on here. May 3rd, 1994, this program was scheduled to air on the Discovery Channel. Okay, now here's the thing. Here's the thing. Individual members of Congress applied pressure to the cable industry to stop the airing of the program and destroy all copies. Okay, members of Congress wanted this thing gone. Gone. Okay, gone. Influential members of Congress applied pressure to the cable industry to stop the airing of the program and destroy all copies. Okay, all copies of this program. Okay. Okay, now it was already listed nationwide on April 30th and May 6th. In addition to the TV guide and the newspaper supplements, the Discovery Channel and Yorkshire Television were reimbursed for the January. No, let me see here. All right, here. Let me see here. Okay. The Discovery Channel. I'm sorry. Let me say it again. The Discovery Channel and Yorkshire Television were reimbursed for the January 4th and to January 2nd. No, January 2nd to the 4th $1 million production cost. Okay. Okay. This is the program they didn't want you to see. Okay. This is the Conspiracy of Silence. It had to do with Boys Town. Okay. This was about Boys Town. Okay, the guy's name is Lawrence King. He was heavily in the banking shit in the Midwest. Okay.
Once one of America's top Republicans, Lawrence King is serving a 15-year prison sentence for a multi-million-dollar fraud.
A multi-million-dollar fraud. But also he was, now, if you go on YouTube and talk about Johnny Gosch, this guy was tied to Johnny Gosch in Boys Town. He was heavily a huge multi-millionaire that serving a 15-year sentence for fraud, but he was also a pedophile. That's why a lot of young teenagers went to DC at midnight for a tour, but it wasn't just a tour; it was a party. Okay, a party. Remember the Vatican had was caught with scandal where was it a bishop his place was raided by the police, and in the home of a bishop was, or a cardinal. There was a gay orgy in a home of a cardinal. Okay, in Vatican City, and in his apartment, and it rocked the Vatican. The Vatican for centuries had scandal after scandal after scandal after scandal. Okay.
But financial crime is only half the story. This is the true story of Lawrence King. It is the story of a cancer at the heart of America and of its continuing cover-up at the highest level.
Now, if you remember the early 90s, the early to mid-90s was like, time of when wrestling started to get really huge, big and shit. There was a documentary on Geraldo Rivera did a documentary program on pro wrestling and the WWE. At the time, it was the WWF at the time, and it was marked not just by the steroid scandal, but also scandals of young ring boys were being propositioned for um, uh, pedophilia. Top shit, there was Pat Patterson who came out not too long ago that a few years ago that he was gay. Okay, he was also involved in that scandal. Another two other people were involved in it, and one of them died, but other ones not talking. He's kind of gone. So, but there was at the time in the 80s, the WWF had a the very first ring announcer, first ring announcer, female ring announcer, or no, referee, I think, and she was forced to give Vince McMahon a blowjob in his limo, and she was paid $50,000 for the blowjob. And if she ever talked, she would lose her job. She quit. She quit. And it got pretty bad where the women in the wrestling industry started to get really harassed. Like Steve Lombardi, the Brooklyn Brawler, Abe Knuckleball Schwartz. He sexually harassed Nicole Bass, and she ended up suing for sexual harassment and shit. And it's very, very, very bad and shit though. But it is insane.
One man is attempting to uncover the full story. John DeCamp is among the most highly decorated Vietnam veterans. A former Republican state senator in Lincoln, Nebraska, he is now a lawyer fighting the legacy of Lawrence King's abuse of power.
It's a web of intrigue that starts in our Holy of Holies, Boys Town, Nebraska, one of the most respected institutions of...
Boys Town in Nebraska is very iconic for housing boys that if you didn't find a home, you go and you live there. You go to school, you grow up, and you leave. And it was founded by a priest, and
in the United States, and spreads out like a spider web to Washington, D.C., right up to the steps of the nation's capital, the steps of the White House. Involves some of the most respected and powerful and richest businessmen in this United States of America. And the centerpiece of the entire web is the...
Johnny Gosh's mom is still trying to find answers to why. I mean, she's seen her son for 2 hours, and he was living on an Indian reservation, and he had a tattoo. If you're kidnapped and a victim of a trafficking ring, they would put a tattoo on you, and that means you're the property of whoever's trafficking you and shit, and you're used to make money for that person or persons and shit like that. So, but he was older when she saw him. But there was a lot of on this documentary in 94, there was 2 teens that testified, and the FBI arrested them for perjury, even though they were telling the truth. And they were looking at 15 years for perjury because they are testifying against people in power, very well connected politically, and connections with Boys Town in D.C. And it is a very insane thing to hear about. Okay, now celebrities like, for example, Michael Jackson. Everything started to unravel, and his attorney blamed Martin Bashir for wrecking and destroying Michael Jackson's life, which, to be honest, he never did ruin his life. Michael Jackson ruined his own life. He maybe have been a good singer. Hey, his music is the test of time, but his personal demons, what really did him in. Okay, Martin Bashir did not destroy Michael Jackson's life. Michael Jackson destroyed Michael Jackson. Okay, all Martin Bashir did was let the guy destroy himself. That's all I did. Michael Jackson destroyed Michael Jackson himself. Okay, so it's simple as that. Yes, he was influential. Music would still stand the test of time. The myth is gone. The legend is gone. Man's dead. Okay. He is no legend, no myth, no god. He's a man. A man that died. Destroyed by his own ego, destroyed by his own fame, destroyed by his own power, destroyed by his own arrogance. Okay. These things would tear a person apart because the fame, the wealth, the false influation of destroyed the guy. Simple as that. Destroyed the guy. He was accused even back in the day, back in the 80s and shit. If y'all remember the little actor Emmanuel Lewis, he started in a program back in the early 80s, Webster. There was even question on if he molested by Michael Jackson back in the day, because it didn't get this bad until later in about 93 to 05, because during that 10, 11, 12, during that 10, 11 year span, I think here, money can do crazy shit for people and to people. It could buy silence of victims, the witnesses, and whoever. Think about it, okay? Think about it. Now, you're kind of wondering, why do celebrities believe their own hype? It's a fame. Look at Courtney Love. Kurt Cobain hated fame. He hated fame. No, fame was destroyed people. He got mad when she bought a brand new car. Nice car, matter of fact. He was just a normal guy who wanted to make music. Didn't care about the fame, just wanted to make music and shit. And there was a documentary about Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love. Kurt Cobain was seeing a guitar player from the band Hole that Courtney Love was fronting and shit, and somehow she ended up dead, seriously dead. Was it that she was wanting everything, fame, and if Kurt left her, she had nothing. Did she have Kurt Cobain killed? Yeah, she did. For the fame, dude. For the fame. Money and fame, you know. Without Kurt Cobain, she was nothing. She had the rights to Nirvana music and shit. Dave Grohl and the bassist should have got the rights of Nirvana. Kurt Cobain, Dave Grohl, that guy were banned even before Courtney Love came around and shit. Then all of a sudden, how did she end up with the rights to Nirvana music and shit? That's kind of like the Beatles versus Beatles versus Yoko Ono bullshit. Yoko Ono had the rights to John Lennon shit. She was selling the Beatles rights. Paul McCartney wanted to buy the rights of Beatles music. Guess what? Who owns it now? Michael Jackson. And he owns it now. The estate of Michael Jackson. You know? So, money can make people do stupid fucking shit. No bullshit. No more, no less. Big time, pick time. No bullshit. It is a crazy world, man. I mean, this world's so fucking nuts, man. So fucking nuts, dude. I mean, shit. You're kind of wondering, I mean, what's the future now? Past, present, future of the industry, DC politics. It always evolves around pedophilia. Always happening. Pedophilia. I was kind of surprised that Corey Feldman blew the whistle on this shit. Surprised he wasn't fucking dead. But he did enjoy destroying the life of Corey Haim, though. The guy was jealous of Corey Haim, man. Corey Feldman was jealous of Corey Haim. I think that Corey Feldman needs to realize that he fucked up big time. Now Corey Haim was the guy that was just trying to get his life together. And then all of a sudden, here you got Corey Feldman and his ex-wife doing on drugs, but they're accusing him, Corey Haim, of doing drugs. The guy was clean. Just trying to get his shit together. But his life was destroyed by Corey Feldman and his ex-wife. Those two dumbasses and shit. People do stupid shit. Alright, guys. I'm going to go ahead and end this video. And I just want to say that, how people treat each other is strange indeed and very bizarre all around. And it is very scary how life can be. And it is scary. Matter of fact, very scary indeed. I myself was a victim of small station. I was about 5 years old and shit. I was about 5. And I had a lot of anger for a long time. You know, I held a lot of shit in. And I held things so much that at any time I would have blew up on anybody at any time. But if it wasn't for YouTube, I wouldn't be doing this shit. YouTube helped me. YouTube kind of gave me a kind of a something to further kind of help me lose all that heavy shit off my shoulders. The more I talked, the lighter I felt. The more I talked, the lighter I felt. Anytime I talked, I felt good about it. Everything was going away. I felt lighter. And I felt better. The more I talked, I felt better. Yeah. But this world is no sweet roses. This world is fucking scary, dude. It is scary than hell, man. It is very scary indeed. No bullshit, no more, no less. Straight up, big time, pig time, man. All right. I am Grandmaster Evan. I'm the founder of the Anonymous Liberty Media. Check out the podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Castbox, Breaker, Google Podcast, Overcast, Radio Republic, Pocket Cast, Stitcher, and Bullhorn. And I'll check out my platform. Check me out on Facebook, Twitter, here on YouTube, BitChute, Minds, MeWe, Honest, Tumblr, and BitChute. All right? Remember, knowledge is for free. If you don't like it, I've got 3 words for you. Well, technically, if you ain't down with that, I got 3 words for you. Go fuck yourself. Peace out. Revan out.